Okay, I will call the October 6th, 2021 meeting of the Municipal Building Commission to order at 5:30. Using our COVID protocol, we need to establish who's here. So Jeremy, if you will call the roll.
Terry.
Here.
Terry, can you hear me? You here?
Yes. I said
You're
here.
muted.
No, I'm not.
Should be coming through.
Can you hear me?
Terry, I can hear you.
I can
Okay.
hear you. Yep.
All right. That was on us. You're here, Terry? All right.
Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, Ed?
Here.
Jackie?
Here.
Gail? Gail
Muted, Gail.
just texted me that she's here. Jerry?
Yeah.
Mike? Don't see Mike. Andrew?
Here.
Kelly?
Here.
And Jack?
Here. Okay, Jeremy forgot to send the minutes out, so we will not approve the minutes, and we'll do a
Sorry.
double header at our next meeting.
Sorry, everyone.
But you know, if that's the worst mistake you make this week, Jeremy, I think you'll have a good week.
Here's hoping to that.
So as usual, we'll skip over the bills and we'll go right to the man of the hour, Evan Warner.
Excellent. Good evening, everyone. Relative to project update, the project is actually at the point where we are requesting approval of substantial completion. We have a substantial completion certificate that the architect has filled out and has been distributed, and substantial completion date on that form will be this Friday, October 8th. That aligns with the date on change order 6, which is a zero cost time extension change associated with the additional replacement window work and the accessibility work. Our requisition that's before you tonight puts the project at just under 95% complete, and that is through the end of September. So there was some walkway and other work that's gone on since then, and the library, we expect that the library will be open for business either Friday, but likely Monday. So with that, if I could, let me see if I can share my screen and go through at least the construction progress photos to give you an idea of what activities have actually occurred during September. Okay. All right, so again, just running through here. We've got masonry cleaning and whatnot that that has gone on. Sorry about that. You can see here we've got our new downspouts to the existing scuppers at our new roof above the 3rd floor there, as well as new windows and whatnot throughout. Here you can see some of the existing railings that were modified and extended to become accessible. So you're seeing those in various stages, and you'll see a little later on that those are actually installed. We have some drone shots from the contractor. So here you really get an idea of, remember that bright copper work that we had a number of months ago? So that has all patinaed. Our slate roof, our painted cornice here, our restored windows down on the lower levels, and then the new ones are the ones that still have the stickers on them. So here you can see they've started to break up the walkways that we're looking to replace outside here. Again, kind of another overall shot of the roofing piece. Shot directly down from above. And here you can see they're starting to gather that up and remove those piles. Again, windows, stairs removed. Here's an interior shot of the children's room with our new replacement windows. Again, further modification of the historic rail systems there. Here you can see that all of that walkways have been removed, as well as some paving. We're also doing some blending and removal of the portion of the parking area, largely the handicap spaces and whatnot, so that we have the correct accessible slopes in those sections. And here you can see a little further work, some stone and dense grade along the pathways here and our paving area. Here we're removing the foundations of that existing stair. Also, as part of the work on the north side of the building, this is the door coming out of the what's currently the boiler room and the stair down. We had water issues and drainage issues here. So that slab was removed and a new dry well was installed underneath this crushed stone, and the new drain installed over there, and then that was re-poured. Here you're seeing some of the new foundation walls for the stair that's coming from the parking area up to the main entry plaza. And then here you can see the aggregate concrete that has been poured. This is literally at the front door looking out, and they will come back probably later this week. I think Thursday is the schedule for pouring the remainder of the stair and this portion of the entry plaza. This is further up. And some of our some of the work inside as well. So these are what those stair railings. So I believe the old stairs kind of stopped at the swoop there, and is required by ADA and MAAB. The railings are supposed to continue sloping for one tread depth and then level off for another 12 inches there. Here you can see some of the interior storms. So this is at the older section of the building, the original building. So we have the restored wood windows on the outside, and then we've replaced the storms on the inside with these new energy panels in essence. Here's some recent work cutting into some of the existing ductwork systems here. I believe this is on the 3rd floor. And some new spiral duct to match that will get painted out. This was a little bit of a modification and change. Our original documents had things coming across in front of this exit sign. And since things are low, we would be blocking the exit sign and the fire alarm strobe device. And then just lastly, I wanted to bring your attention so one of the other things that we've done last week, we had the roofing consultant out to perform an IR scan and a moisture tests at our new roofs and at the existing upper membrane roof. And while we were over on the lower roof on the north side, which is a new roof, I've got some pictures of, these are some of the windows at the 1992 or 93 edition that have been replaced. So these removed sections are showing, this is all rotted window wood on 2 separate units. And then you can see the cladding on the outside, and all of that was rotted as well. So I just wanted to show you folks that it was very wise of everyone to proceed with replacing the windows and adding that cost, because there would have just continued to be issues with those windows. So certainly applaud you for that decision. It was the right one. Also, we were able to get
Evan, the IR scan, what's the result of that?
So the IR scan showed some areas that needed to be addressed on the existing upper roof. That's the one that's, I don't know, roughly 5 or 6 years old. That actually we just need to check, but we don't believe are related to this project necessarily, but it would be certainly something that we would want to address. The biggest issue was at the lower roof on the north side. That's the parking lot side. There were some areas of moisture around some of the scuppers and the low points there. That information has been forwarded to the contractor, who in turn forwarded to the roofing sub. So we will be having them address those new roof issues and see what we can do to have them coordinate while they're there, making some other repairs on that upper roof area. But in general, the roofing consultant thought that the installation was a good installation, and that we just need to chase some of this moisture. So I will say that, so I have used this roofing consultant in the past. He's rather inexpensive, but one thing that we actually benefited from, he didn't just perform an infrared scan of the roof areas, which can be deceiving in some respects and not all inclusive, but he also had a moisture meter, which is a device that sends electrical current between 2 points that are spread apart. And you know that there's moisture in there when that electrical connection is completed. So so we were able to identify these limited areas that the contractor will need to come in, open up the roof in those locations, remove the moist insulation or material there until it's no longer wet and it's dry, and then do a replacement or patch on that roof area. So, and which is not at all uncommon, and is also why we go ahead and do these roof inspections after the fact to make sure that once the contractor is demobilized and leaving the site, that we have a good and dry installation.
As to that upper roof, is that a warranty claim that we have to make?
I suppose we could look at the warranty and see if I would think that that would still be in effect. I'm not sure what exclusions are there, but I will work with Jeremy and with Amy to see what warranty information may be available relative to in your files relative to that upper roof.
Is that upper roof the same manufacturer as the other roofs?
I believe that they are all Firestone.
So therefore, the guy who's fixing what he did for us recently might be able to fix what's up there. He just might be, one might be on his nickel and the other might be paid for by the manufacturer on the warranty.
Right, if that's a warranty item or issue, correct.
Okay, what about the balconies?
So the balconies are due to come, I believe, on Monday and get installed. We've had some issues somewhat all the way along, but it seems like here at the end when we needed them to deliver and install, it was problematic getting their attention. We've gotten assurances from track builders that they absolutely will be here next week and installed. So
Okay.
those items are on the monetized punch list that are with the substantial completion certificate.
Right, but they have not asked, to my knowledge, that we reduce the retainage to the monetized punch list at this point. That's going to come next month, correct?
That's correct. All retainage remains at 5%. So we're holding off on that, and the current requisition is just over $500,000 at this point.
And if I remember right, there were 3 windows that were manufactured to the wrong size. Can you talk to the group about that?
Yeah, so I think we've finally gotten the real information on that. It appears that the dimensions that the GC gave the window manufacturer on 3 of the units were incorrect, and that they were not the unit size, they were the masonry opening size. So they were fabricated to that larger masonry opening size in those 3 locations. So those are being remanufactured to the correct dimensions, and once those are fabricated and delivered, they'll immediately get installed. And at that point, we should be complete. We're hearing that may be as late as December, but the contractor is working with Anderson to try to get a better date from them on when they can actually manufacture.
So even though we'll have substantial completion as to Friday, we'll have the library reopening at the beginning of the week. It appears that the final completion will probably not be till sometime closer to Christmas.
Yeah, I would expect, assuming that those windows do come in December, that we would do a final closeout requisition with tract through the end of December and bring up to the building commission for a January commission meeting.
Okay. Any commission members have questions of Evan on the update?
I have a question. What's the situation with that crown molding in the front entrance that was brought up last time?
Crown molding in the front entrance.
There was some molding, Evan, that whether it's molding or not, but there was some areas that when they kind of sandblasted it to clean it, it turned out that there was that the dirt was holding the.
Oh, right.
the-
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so we have actually, so what we are trying to do is to complete this project with as few additional changes in dollar amounts to be able to close out the tract contract. There is some work like elevator lockout on the 4th floor so that the public can't access the 4th floor staff area that we are looking to pursue outside of the tract contract. So as Deborah, the architect, had identified kind of previously, there are limited masons that have the expertise and capability to do that kind of restoration work. But we are going to try to get an actual price from the guy that's done the work, restoration work on the library, and see if we can't consider again doing this outside that contract, depending on what kind of costs that we're talking about will
Yeah,
depend
so
on.
let me jump in here, Evan. The auditor has raised the question that we may have exceeded the Attorney General's rule of thumb for change orders. And so therefore, what we need to do is for the elevator lockout for that work you were describing, for some additional painting and patching in the marble room. We probably need to do those through a separate bidding process out of the project, but through a separate bidding process rather than a change order to track. So I think your question really was, did we forget about this? And the answer is no. We just have to pursue a different method of procurement of the services.
Yeah, and with the masonry, that dollar value was going to trigger, I imagine, I don't have a number yet, but I imagine it would trigger some procurement thresholds for us. With the elevator lockout, we were sent a quote which seemed reasonable and was underneath the thresholds for which we would need to advertise and get written solicitation of quotes. So we've actually executed a purchase order already, and United Elevator is coming in to do that work. But we're going to take, like Jack said, the additional procurement route on the patching and the masonry, but all within the project. This is not coming from current city resources or library budget. It's all within the loan authorization.
Did we answer your question, Jerry?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Deb, do you have anything to add to the update?
She has been connecting to audio for about 5 minutes now. So
Okay, so we'll come back to you when.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh,
I
yes,
was just on mute. I'm here. I couldn't connect on my computer. I'm on my phone. I was on site this morning with Track and with the masonry subcontractor. There was some more of the sidewalk that was poured, and much of the sidewalk already has the pebble texture complete, and it actually looks pretty good. The handrails that Evan showed were installed, those two in the entry vestibule, and those are going to be buffed, so they're not quite so dark brown, so they look more like the brass handrails, the other brass handrails. There's some more, we just went over more of the finishing up of the masonry restoration scope. There's some more of the coating to even out some of the coloration of the stone. And those letters, the ATTL letters, or one thing that was on the completion list that they still have to come back and try and do a better job of matching the font of the other letters so that so that name looks good. The windows in general, the windows actually really look very good, and the installation looks good on the inside. It wasn't very disruptive on the inside. I think that's what we were looking at this morning.
Okay, so I know you've signed the substantial completion certificate, but just for the record, do you endorse substantial completion as of Friday?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think just
Okay.
maybe to add to that whole discussion about the egg and dart at the exterior and rebidding that. The mason, when we talked about it probably a month or so ago, had some other guy who could do the work, and they were going to get pricing or whatever. And I asked about that today, and part of the issue is that the current masonry contractor is saying that they don't have in-house the ability to do that. So it will require finding somebody who's got the right skill.
Okay, but then we wouldn't want to pay the masonry subcontractor a markup to hire a sub.
Right. I mean,
so-
it seems like, if we're over the amount anyway, and we have to go rebid it, we try and rebid it to a different masonry. If that's the only item that's going to be rebid, then we could bid it directly to masonry contractors.
Right, and I think that's our intention.
Historic masonry contractors, and presumably somebody who has the right skill to do that.
Okay. Bob Barton, anything you want to add?
No, sir. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Amy, anything you want to say?
And it's been quite a year. No, I'm grateful for all of the things I've learned and for all of the information I've gotten. It's looking forward to having you all inside the building, looking good.
Are you planning on any kind of a ribbon cutting, or is that still in flux?
It's still in flux, but the stairs were poured late this afternoon. So we do anticipate being open on Tuesday to patrons.
Okay,
When's the
good.
party?
After I get some vacation time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So thank you all.
Yeah, well, thank you. You've certainly been patient and cooperative with everything that went on inside your building. And I think you and your staff should be congratulated for keeping the level of services during the last year to the level that you have. Bless you. It is not easy to occupy a building that's under this much construction.
Thank you for noting that. The staff has been unbelievable.
Charlie, do you have anything to say?
Not anything of great importance other than appreciation on behalf of the board for the way the city has handled this, not strictly as a maintenance or upkeep project, but they've really looked upon it as a restoration. And that philosophy has filtered through to all the stakeholders here, and I think that's very much appreciated. There have been numerous times when the opinion has been expressed that, well, we're in here doing all this work. If we leave this detail, what will that look like when we come back in? Talking about the marble room, why can't we clean this up and clean that up? This is the centerpiece of the building. Things like this, I really appreciate, and I know others in the community will appreciate. So And I also have to say that the way this project has been handled by Evan, by these weekly meetings where we exchange ideas, where we assign responsibilities and so forth, and where we get a chance to, for everybody, all the stakeholders to have a say, I think is fantastic. And I hope that the commission will use this as a model for future projects like this. So my appreciation to all of you and all of the players in this project.
Well, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact, we learned this on the high school project, and this is the first one that we've applied outside of that. And I think that it is an excellent model. And so I think when we get into the fire roofs, when we get into the gym floors, when we get into the Attleboro Pawtucket interconnect, we'll probably use this as a model for the work that's needed for all of those. So thank you. So Evan, do you need to look at the budget update, the change log? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, let me again quickly kind of share my screen, and we'll get to that. So yeah, basically the total project budget has remained unchanged, with the exception of the addition of change order 6 for $0, which is the time extension change. So there's no adjustment to the tracked contract and no draw from construction contingency on that. So that is the same.
Yeah, and Evan, just for the record, just to make sure everyone remembers, we added the windows and we added the accessibility piece, and we agreed as to the appropriate price, but what was left out was the time extension for them to accomplish those. So change order 6 is simply to extend the time to Friday, so that we were not trying to hit them for $1,000 a day for doing the extra work that we asked them to do, which certainly would not be appropriate. So that's where that comes from. So keep going.
Okay. Updated change log. The items in yellow are either updates or additions here. And again, we're just looking for building commission approval on change order 6 in the amount of $0. And we've got the backup documentation for that.
The items that were in yellow there, Evan, were those items we've already voted on?
No, not necessarily. We've I believe that those previous items, these are really just updates to, I think the last thing that was voted on was to proceed with that second floor patch for patch and paint.
Which actually we should, well, no, I think we can leave it as is, because we're just going to use a different method of procurement. But I'm just wondering about the numbers that are in yellow.
Yeah, so for instance, so up top here, change order 6, $0. This change request 01 is now updated to change request 01 R2, and we have a reduced price of just under $267. I believe that the previous price on that was $1,000 kind of estimate on that. We received kind of last minute the change request 23. So this is actually a credit of a little over $7,700. What that was deleting an external roof ladder, but providing an internal roof ladder to a roof hatch on the north side of the building. That's that lower roof over the third floor. Plaster and drywall repair, replacement, and patch allowances. This has been boosted up from 30,000 last month to 65 this month. The elevator fourth floor lockout. Again, we have a true price on what that is. So that was updated. I think it was a $5,000 rough order of magnitude last month. We did receive this change request 17. This is to furnish and install bases for some floor mounted fan coil units that, due to some existing condition issues, needed to be done to appropriately pipe those and get them looking correctly. This is the first time. This was literally 4:30 on Monday. We have a just under $21,000 number on that. So these items are kind of currently in review of both STV and BH&A, but I wanted to update those numbers. And then we also got kind of some true numbers for some E-rate patching repairs.
Evan, on that E-rate, I just want to be clear that that's not a project expense. Those E-rate patching and repairs is happening outside of the project.
Yeah, I just generally, I like to try to err on the conservative side. So if something, I'd rather try to over-represent something and have it kind of wash out to be nothing. It's a similar thing relative to, you know, some of these items that I've been carrying forever, which is this mobile book drop repairs. I don't think we're going to see anything relative to that. So we have been asking the contractor to make sure that they're submitting their costs or change requests so that we can close out this project. And then we have a new change request 29. There was some light fixture reinstallation. Again, that's a little under $1,600. But again, the team is reviewing the validity of that and whatnot. So wanted to put that out there.
So these are items that we might be asked to act on in the future, except for the E-rate repairs, which we authorized, but are being reimbursed to the project from separate sources. So, okay.
Correct.
I understand this. I understand the log now.
Yeah. So that's in essence where we are. Even if all of these changes were realized, we are still just under 1.1 million in remaining owners construction contingency. So in terms of the overall budget, we are in good shape there. Any other questions relative to the construction change log? No. And soft cost changes. This just went from last month having some changes highlighted, which is basically this soft cost adjustment 4 and contingency number. So that remains unchanged since last meeting.
Okay. So we need to vote on accepting substantial completion as of the 8th of October. We need to vote to approve change order number 6, which is the time extension. Are those the 2 votes we need to take?
Yes, in addition to the invoices. Yep.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the bills in a few minutes, but if everybody has no problem, why don't we do one roll call vote, because the change order 6 and substantial completion are related in the sense of the same date. Is that okay with everyone? Then Jackie?
So moved.
Second,
And thank you, Terry. Any discussion? Jeremy?
All right, on change order 6 and substantial completion, Terry,
yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Andrew. Do we have Andrew still?
Yeah, he's muted.
Come back to Andrew. Kelly
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes. So it's almost unanimous depending on when Andrew unmutes. But it passes in any event. So then I know we have a bunch of bills here. We have pay application 11 for 506,000. We have the STV DPM bill for 9428. We have BH&A has a bill for 440 and for 2,000, and another one for 1130. Evan, do you recommend payment of all of those bills, including your own?
I do.
Okay, so when we take our vote, after we finish the fire, we'll take care of all of those. So is there anything else anybody needs to add on the library project? Hearing none, then I think we'll be able to move on. Thank you, all of you who are here for the library project, and hopefully we'll be able to do a bit of closeout next month.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
Night.
Thank you.
All right, for the fire department roofs, is this just you, Jeremy, or do we have Mark with us, or?
Mark is on vacation, and we're at a point where the architect doesn't quite have an update for us in that the architect's made his recommendation to award to you all, which you then made to the mayor. The contract is in our contract signature cycle now, so I hope to have it tomorrow, perhaps Friday. Gibson Roofs has been issued a notice of award. So we should have a contract and a purchase order either the end of this week or early next week. And that keeps us on track for our November start date of construction. So we're moving along. We're on schedule for our accelerated schedule. And we hope to have them out and mobilized soon. So things are moving along.
Okay, and I know it's not on our agenda, but any update on the Attleboro Pawtucket interconnect?
Our engineer is out. I have not gotten an update from the water department, but I will make a note to do that for next month for you.
Okay, thank you. And then the elementary school gym floors. So we have brought Mark Zawatsky on as our sort of OPM. He has done a couple of things. One is that he has prepared a request for qualifications so that we can hire a designer to design those floors. And is that out on the street?
Not yet. Our goal is to have it on the street October 20th. Our purchasing office is looking at it right now. So we'll get it queued up next week, and then we'll be on the street on the 20th.
And so then maybe next month we will be shortlisting, and then we'll need to interview designers to hire someone for that project. It looks like this will be work that will be done next summer for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is that we need the time for the designer to design what's needed and to put it out on the street for bid. And then we need to make sure that the school is unoccupied at the time the work is done because of the nature of the work that has to be done. The interesting thing, though, and I hope you've had a chance to read Mark's letter. I'll try and summarize it. Of course, we wanted wood flooring, and facts have a way of becoming messy. And so when Mark went out to look at those two elementary schools, he determined that the flooring that's there, if I remember right, it's about 3/4 of an inch.
3/8.
3/8. It's only half that. 3/8 of an inch, and it's glued down to a concrete pad. And if you put in a wood floor on top of that concrete pad, it is going to rise above the threshold level by, what, an inch and a half, 2 inches?
Yeah, it's a 2-inch system, so an inch and 5/8.
An inch and 5/8, which of course means that we would then violate the accessibility laws. And so therefore, his conclusion is that we have 3 ways to go. One way is to put in another composite floor. And that would fit within the budget we have. The second way to go would be to put in a wood floor and do ramping. And as I understand from his letter, that might also trigger some door width changes. All sounds very expensive. We don't have any numbers on that, but he did say it was expensive. He also told us that the price of wood flooring these days is more than we were anticipating when we first started this project. Thank you, COVID. And so the other option, I suppose, and I sent an email to Mark, I didn't realize he was on vacation, but a couple city councilors asked me, what would it take to put in a wood floor without the ramping? And the answer would be jackhammer the concrete out, dig down an inch or 2, put a new pad in, and then put the wood floor on top of it. I can't imagine that would fit within our budget, but we ought to know the answer to that question so that we can tell people that we've looked into it. If that was $250,000 per school, it would not surprise me. Jerry, you might have an opinion on something like that, but it does sound expensive, right?
Yes, it would be very expensive.
When we
Because
had asked,
it would all have to be done by hand. You couldn't get any heavy equipment in there. So don't even go down that road.
when we had asked our consultant, is this even possible? I enjoyed his response was, anything's possible. It's just how much you're willing to spend on it. So with our budget, construction budget in the $800,000 range, this on its face seems cost prohibitive, but we've asked them to look into it just so we can verify that.
Right, because, I mean, one counselor that I talked to said, if this is going to require an additional appropriation, obviously the mayor and council would have to determine if this was worth it or if there was some other useful place to put that money. And I suspect that the answer will be there's some other useful place to put that money.
We have a number of places.
But I just think our due diligence is that we ought to know the ballpark figure of doing each of the 3 things. And therefore, if a policy decision is made and it's funded, they'll, they know what the answer is. So I think more to come on that next month when Mark is around, and probably more information will come when we have a designer on board. So that's pretty much where we are on that. So does anybody have any questions on that, Ed?
Yeah, the floor that's in there, I think he said in his letter, is 45 years old.
Yeah, about
It hasn't been
19.
Good for the last few years.
Right, that was a 1975 floor.
So I think that speaks well to that type of floor.
Yes, I think that a composite floor, from back then, Mark says that the floors now are better and they last longer. Perhaps wouldn't last as long as wood, but on the other hand, wood also requires you to strip it and repoly it periodically.
Right.
These floors are lower maintenance. So there's a lot to be said for, putting a composite floor back.
And I think it's important, we're talking about in-kind, well, at least I use the term in-kind replacement to differentiate from the wood floor, but it's not 1-for-1. We're not putting the exact same kind of floor in. We're putting a modernized version of this type of floor. So part of the issue we had was, the floor breaking down and what that means for the school environment. So we're not putting the exact same thing on. We're putting a similar thing that's had 45 years worth of advancement to it.
So anybody have any other questions?
I have a
Kelly.
question. Do we know the condition of the concrete slab under these floors? Do we know if this is going to require any additional work?
They did some destructive testing, it looks like, from that picture, correct?
Yeah, I don't know that it touched onto the concrete. I know they got down to the concrete, but I don't know that there's been any testing of it. But I imagine that would be part of the architect's due diligence in designing the replacement, is that they would look at existing conditions and see what that told them.
Yeah, I can imagine, Kelly, that when you tear up that composite floor, that maybe not all of it will come up, that maybe you need to put a skim coat on that slab. We'll leave that to the architect, but I think that's a well-asked question, because it would not surprise me that we need to level that floor before we put the new composite down. Jerry, would you think that would be accurate?
Well, they should be able to get that up. They have machines that will scrape that down. There's a machine that goes back
Yeah.
and forth that can scrape that up.
Right, but
So
you
it
know,
probably should be good. They may
okay,
have to do some minor patches, but I think the rest of it will be all right.
okay, good to know. Okay, then I think we need to pay the bills. And Jeremy, we have 3 bills from Port Consulting, 2 for the fire, 1 for the gym floors. Those are in order to pay?
Yes, I've been, he's not here for me to say nice things about him, but I've been, it's been great working with Mark, and I'm excited to have him on board for this second project.
Good. So therefore, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 bills to pay. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second,
Any discussion? Jeremy?
Terry,
yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes,
Andrew,
Andrew's still muted.
Kelly,
Yes.
and Jack.
Yes. Okay, so that passes unanimously. So before we adjourn, I guess we should just note that it looks like November 3rd, and then it looks like December 1st for our next 2 meetings. But I suspect we may need a special meeting or so at some point in there to choose the gym floor designer. So we'll keep you posted on that. Anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Then a motion to adjourn at 6:21 would be in order.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Jeremy?
Terry,
yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Jerry,
yes.
Andrew, Kelly,
Yes.
Jack.
Yes, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.